Welcome to Oceanic Flight 815. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please stab the tube from your oxygen mask into your own arm before attempting to transfer your blood to anyone else.
You know, I was wondering where he got that tube from.
I noticed it today for the first time. It's from one of the oxygen masks on the plane.
Smart.
How cool is that?
Because I was like, where are you getting plastic tubing?
Right? It's pretty heavy metal, you know? Like, just chopping up the oxygen mask. It's like, bringing us back to the crash. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, this episode does a lot of that because there's a lot of like, they have like it's like a refreshments cart that they're using as like
Is that what it is? I never knew what it was,
medicine cabinet. Yeah, it's like the one.
Oh,
they,
I thought you were talking about
Oh no.
Guillotine Gate.
No, but the thing they've got all the like stuff in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Is like one they like pull down the aisles. Like it does. There's a lot of that in this episode, like bringing stuff back. Because all the medical equipment is stuff from the crash.
Yeah, very cool. So welcome to Lost All Caps. I'm Ariel.
And I'm Velvet.
And this is episode 21, which is season 1, episode 20, Do No Harm.
Do No Harm.
As you can see, I'm dressed in my medical scrubs today. It's giving doctor. We're here.
Okay, so...
I think we should just jump straight into it.
Yeah, I was going to say, should we address the elephant in the room? Boone's dead.
Boone's dead. R.I.P. Boone. Boone is dead.
I really didn't want to... I was like, I don't want to do this episode. I don't want Boone to die.
Yes.
I'm not happy about it.
Obviously, you know, there's no way we can really go in chronological order this week. We need to say straight up top, Boone is dead and the baby is born.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is kind of crazy.
It's an insane episode.
Because it's also like... When we watched it for the first time, I remember being like, okay, well, situation's pretty dire, but, like, he's going to be fine. Because, like, he's a main character.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all bets are off. Anything could happen.
Yeah, it's really exciting, actually, to the way that they kind of say there's no plot armor. You know, this, like, main character can just die.
Yeah, especially one who's becoming more significant in the plot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that the show does... It's established it now at this point.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's I'm not going to say it's an omen for things to come. What I'm going to say is it changes your perspective as a viewer, where you kind of go, oh, nobody's safe.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And you're a bit more on edge throughout the rest of the show, because you're like, well, my faves could just die at any moment, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I think that's a really useful tool for the writers, do you know what I mean? To have, like, your audience caught in that kind of...
on edge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be doing so much more gesturing today.
What, because of the glass?
Yeah. I've already started. I'm like, don't you see?
If you hear a bunch of clattering, it's the nails. Yeah, no, I like this episode. I do. It's a good episode. It's an objectively good episode. It just makes me very sad.
Yeah. But that's why it's good, isn't it? You know, it really is a very emotional episode. It brings out so many emotions in you. Like, I'm stressed the entire time.
Oh, yeah. It's really stressful as well, and it's really, like, scary, and, like, I get a lot of anxiety about, like, accidents and medical things and, like, randomly dying out of nowhere, and I'm like, so I'm watching this and I'm like, oh. But it's done very well.
It is. Yeah, we should probably do some content warnings up top, you know.
Yeah.
Birth. Death. Christian Shephard. Sorry. No, genuinely, there's a lot of... It's very, you know, intense themes.
Injuries,
there's a lot of
blood.
gore, yeah. There's blood everywhere. There's medical, like, you know... horror, I guess. Medical horror.
Yeah. Medical procedures, but in a cave. But obviously there's, you know, we're just talking about it, so gore isn't so much of an issue. If you've made it through the episode, you're gonna be fine.
I hope so. I hope everyone is okay out there. I hope maybe you watched it and were like, oh my god, and now you can come here and sort of meditate with us, listen to us and be like, let's talk about it, let's process our grief of Boone dying.
Don't even talk to me.
We're all here for each other.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, that might present a bit of an issue.
I know, I think the perfect setup for this episode is that I was on the phone with our parents earlier, and I was getting stressed out, and I was like, oh, and I'm recording today, and it's the Boone death episode, so it's all doom and gloom. And then Dad goes, well, yeah, but you're not sad about that, are you? And Mum just really loudly went, Velvet likes Boone. Don't you pay attention to anything?
Oh, incredible. They are funny.
Don't you pay attention to anything?
Don't you pay attention to anything? Velvet likes Boone. Don't you pay attention to anything? That's how we're summarising this episode. Yeah, I mean, obviously, from my perspective, the crazy thing about Boone's death, well, there's many crazy things, but it's the fact that a main character can just die.
Yes.
I was not particularly attached to Boone.
I was.
And so I'm not as upset, let's say. I feel like, okay, so if you told me, hey, one of the main characters is gonna die in this episode, you have to pick. I'd be like, well, shit. My first choice would probly be Sawyer.
I was gonna say Sawyer's the obvious choice.
Choice number 2 would be Shannon, but choice number 3 would probably be Boone.
I was gonna say John, but I don't know. You can't kill John because of his mysticism.
He's probably immortal.
But, like, don't piss me off, old man, you know? John's not in this episode at all.
I know. I think that's very clever of them to make him completely absent from all of this.
Yeah. So I imagine he spent the entire time
banging on the hatch door. But then I guess there's a whole day passes, doesn't it? Or does it?
I think it's like over... It gets dark.
But
it's like afternoon, I think, when the accident happens. And then it's like it gets dark over the course of the episode. And then I think it's like night and then the sunrise, the morning is when Claire comes to the beach with baby.
So Boone is in the plane crash. Not the first one, the second one.
Boone was in 2 plane crashes.
If I had a penny for every time I was in a plane crash. And then Claire has her little scene with Sawyer and Michael and Jane. Mm-hmm. And then they bring Boone to... No, they've already brought Boone. Yeah, because
Kate arrives.
Kate arrives at the end of that scene. So Boone has his accident. John brings him to the caves. Then Kate runs to the beach and gets the alcohol. Then Claire wanders off into the jungle and has contractions, and then Kate finds her because she's on the way back to the caves, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is all happening in one afternoon.
It's all happening very close together. And I think the light on in the hatch happens actually timeline-wise at some point during all this. Because it is dark, isn't it, in that scene?
Maybe it's the point when Boone dies.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Because it's like, you know, he's like, I've done everything you asked, blah, 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 blah.
That would be quite crazy,
And
actually.
it's like, Boone dies. Oh, the light comes on.
When one door closes, another hatch opens.
And you're always having a go at me for saying dumb shit.
I feel like I have a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe chronologically would narrow down the ranting.
Okay, maybe I'll try and go chronologically. I'll try and keep us grounded.
I can chime in.
And Velvet can...
And another thing. Because not only is this an episode where Boone dies, and an episode where I'm really pissed off at John, but also it's a Jack episode where we get loads of crazy Jack behaviour and also Christian's there, and so I just have so much to say.
Yeah, God, Christian Shephard on our screens once again. Is this his fourth flashback appearance? I think so, right? Because it's...
I'm just allergic to Christian Shephard. It's the 3rd Jack episode, isn't it? And also he was in the Sawyer.
And also he's in the Sawyer one, so yes.
Yeah, I have written down guest starring John Terry, always a bad sign. If I see his name
in the credits, fuck!
I see his name in the credits and I go, for fuck's sake, he's back again.
It's like you're watching like the Super Bowl and you're like, go, go, go! And then they get to the 50-yard line, I don't know, sports, and then John Terry comes up,
Yeah.
Come on!
That's it, pretty much. That's how it feels.
Yeah. No. He's in it for like solidly one scene and he pisses me off.
Yeah. Don't piss me off, old man. I'm saying it again.
It's a versatile phrase.
Both of them.
When it comes to Lost. Because it applies to Anthony Cooper.
Yeah.
Don't piss me off, old man.
So many old men that I don't like.
So I think the pre-title sequence in this one is one of the best.
Oh yeah, it's really cool.
It's sick.
The like transition straight from previously on into present.
Yes.
Very cool.
Really cool. They had like a heartbeat sound.
That was really freaking me out. I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But obviously that's like... It's very cool.
Very cool.
Cinematographically.
Mm-hmm. Televisographically.
Because it's like, yeah, his heartbeat.
And it's kind of like, you know, this is almost a scene from fucking Grey's Anatomy or something.
Yeah.
But you have the added, and we're also stranded on a desert island.
Also in a cave.
And, you know, they're having to improvise a lot with medical instruments. And I think having the heartbeat sound is really good device because it kind of, it codes you, doesn't it, as a viewer? You go like, we're in a hospital. But then you at the same time, you're like, we're not in a hospital. They don't have the ECG machine. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have the ECG machine. And they're like, you know, Boone is already... This is kind of how he feels, right? He kind of feels like he's doomed from the start because...
Yeah, because they're not in a hospital, so...
What can Jack even do? And I guess that's kind of Jack's journey that he goes on this episode. What can he do? You've also got lots of like gasping in the audio, which I thought was really nice, and lots of close-ups on Boone's face throughout all this is happening. I feel like Jack kind of eats in this scene.
Oh yeah, Jack in crisis mode?
Yeah.
He's great.
He's like locked in. He's telling everyone what they need to go and get. He's, you know...
Yeah.
He's like kind of ordering people around, but in a really good kind of authoritative way.
Yeah, it's like he finally, like, we have this whole struggle across the show of Jack doesn't want to be the leader, he doesn't want to be in charge. And then it's like we have this medical emergency and it's like it jumps out.
Absolutely.
Suddenly he is taking charge and he is like, knows exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And this is like his comfort zone almost.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Even though it's obviously a horrible situation, but it's like this is where he knows what to do.
Yeah, and I think the way that everyone responds to it as well is really nice because you've kind of got Son who immediately jumps in. You know, when he's like, he tells her something and she goes, yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Like she's locked in as well. Then you have Kate, who's kind of like, she has her moment where she's like staring at Boone and she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then Jack goes, Kate, go get the alcohol. And she goes, okay. And she goes and gets it. And then you have Hurley, who's like the other end of the extreme, who's kind of just like, I have no idea what to do. And then Jack's like, if you faint on me again, you know.
Hurley, I swear to God, if you faint. He's
and
like, no, I'm good.
I like that. I like that whole sort of spectrum of reactions. That's really fun.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's done very well. Also, like, there's so much blood and it's so neon against everything. Like, the cave is very dark environment. And it's like suddenly you have all this, like, bright red on all their like neutral tone clothes and stuff. I thought that was like, it's very cool visually.
Absolutely agree. And let's talk about the fucking knitting needle to the lung. Hell yeah! Oh, I was eating that up. I'm like, it's so heavy metal. I'm like, it's sick. Don't you think?
Freaks me out so much. I can't. Ugh. It's the way he just knows immediately. He's like, okay, knitting needle, and it's like, ugh.
Oh gosh, I think it's great. It's like it's awful and it's like shocking and horrifying, but it's cool, man. It's a cool, like, I was gonna say stunt, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And so it's like his lungs collapsed and so they're putting a hole in it to like put like an air tube in.
I'm not going to pretend to understand the medical.
I think.
Yes.
I mean,
think so.
Speaking of pretending to know all the medical, how does Sun know all this?
I know
she knows like her, you know, her herbs and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's the way she's like so like, yes, I know exactly what to do. And I'm like, how? Girl? You've never had a job.
I know. Maybe in her like sort of bored housewife era, she kind of studied up on
maybe she
medical.
just watched loads of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, maybe. And then she's like, actually, this is kind of interesting. Let me get a book out of the library. You know?
I can see her doing that, actually.
I
can see her, like, taking up medicine as a hobby.
Yes.
Just being like, well, I'm just hanging around at home with my fancy, expensive dog and then just, like, reading a bunch of medical journals.
Mm-hmm. And then sort of diagnosing her friends for fun.
Yeah.
Being like, wait, no, so tell me your symptoms.
No, I can see that, actually.
Yeah, it does kind of come out of nowhere, but I love Sun in this episode. I think she fucking slays. I've written down, like, queen in all caps and eats in all caps in various places in my notes. Like, she's so fucking cool in this episode. But then we have, like, a weird flashback within the pre-title sequence as well. I don't like that.
Yeah, a lot of the flashbacks, I'm always just, like, read the room. Like, because tonally they're so different. Yeah. And I know, like, they offer a psychological assessment of Jack. I know that.
Great way to phrase it, by the way.
But it's also like, dude, we have more important issues than only has to tie a bow tie.
Yeah.
Like,
I really don't understand the flashbacks in this episode or like them, to be honest.
I don't mind them.
I think they let the episode down a little bit.
They do. They're a bit weird.
And it's like, I guess they kind of go, oh, everyone's going to expect us to do a hospital flashback. Yeah. So let's not do that.
And instead of it being about Jack's actions in a crisis, it's about Jack as a person.
Yeah.
And the psychological assessment that it offers, in that he feels that, like, we know he has this idea of being a hero and he has what it takes, but it's like that like, I can fix everything. Yeah. It's not just about his job. Like, it spans out into his entire life.
Yes, I guess that's our first insight into that. I think we get hints of it earlier on in terms of his relationship with his dad.
Yeah.
Right, you know, like when he's going over to Australia in order to bring him back, because he's like, I can fix our family, as it were. But yes, this is the most explicit sort of thing, example of that. First example of that we get.
And also that, like, I think a lot of Jack's life, everything he's done because he's felt obligated to. Is also something I can kind of say on this episode, because it's like, even like becoming a doctor, he says, like, right at the beginning of the season, I don't remember what episode it is, someone's asking him about it and he says, like, oh, it's kind of a family business.
Yes, I feel like is it on the plane?
Maybe.
I feel like it is.
With Rose?
Yeah. I feel like it's Rose who says it to him, was like, I can understand why you're a doctor, you have like a calming presence.
Oh no, it's when he goes to sit with her on the beach.
Yeah.
She says like, you have a nice way about you.
And he's like, oh, that's not why, I was kind of born into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like he's become a doctor just because his dad is a doctor, and like, it seems very clear to me, at least through this episode, that Jack didn't really want to get married all that much. It's like he felt like obligated to, because like he'd saved her life. Yeah. And she was so like, we were meant to meet each other, and he's like, oh well, like if it's fate, then I guess we should get married. You know?
That's interesting, because I was literally just about to say how weird, weird's not the right word, but interesting is that as a kind of psychological point of view of like, I feel like I have to marry you because I saved your life. I feel like that feels like a really big jump, but I guess that's a really interesting thing to unpack. But then when you mentioned fate just then, is Jack, because Jack is our man of science and Locke is our man of faith, he kind of resists fate in a way, but doesn't like take actions to resist it, but kind of just goes, this doesn't feel right. He doesn't believe in it almost.
Yeah. I think like what it seems to me is very much that like Sarah, his wife, is saying like, oh, I broke my back, they said I would never walk again, but you fixed me. It's like very much like it was meant to happen, like you were the magic, so to speak. So yeah, I very much get the feeling that it's like, oh, we were meant to meet each other, you were meant to help me, and then like now by extension we must be soulmates, etc, etc. It doesn't seem like he like Jack seems to have taken a very passive role in that.
And I guess that's why he struggles to write his vows so much.
Yeah, because actually he doesn't even know
really why he's marrying her, even though he says he loves her and everything, and in his actual vows when he says like, you're the one who fixed me.
Yeah, and I'm sure he at least believes that he loves her. We don't know enough about the relationship really to know if they are.
I'm sure that he at least believes
I'm sure he thinks that.
We're spilling the tea on this podcast today.
you know, I know we don't know enough about the relationship to know for sure. But like,
but it's weird, right?
It is weird.
To sort of marry one of your patients. That feels very odd.
And like the fact that the night before the wedding, he's asking his dad, "Should I marry her?" Like, that's.
But that's because he wants Christian's approval. He's so desperate for Christian's approval.
I know it's because he's so desperate for Christian's approval, but also clearly he's doubting it.
Yes.
Clearly he doesn't really believe it, and like he's never mentioned her. So like, are they married anymore?
Ooh, I feel like there was a conversation.
I don't remember. But it's like it's never come up, you know?
Yeah.
And like that initial scene, it's like the friend is the one getting married.
I know, that's such a dumb fake out, don't you think? I'm like, come on, Lost, you're better than that.
I think it's kind of fun.
No. I didn't like it. I was like, this is not the kind of bait and... I know you do better bait and switches than this.
They love a bait and switch, though.
Yeah, but you could have done better. It's a C-, you know?
But yeah, I think, like... Anyway, the fact that we can tell that Jack has let this belief and, like, weird perception of himself bleed into his entire life, that, like, that's why, like, this is so important to him, this idea that he can fix things, because that's the only thing he's, like, good for.
Yeah.
In his perception of himself.
Yeah.
That he can fix things and he can be a hero.
The only other note I have before the title sequence is when Jack yells, "Listen!" to Boone. I was like, bedside manner, sweetie.
Yeah.
Boone, listen!
Not great. He's not great at the bedside thing, is he?
No.
He's okay.
He has his moments.
He has his moments where it works well for him.
Like when Shannon's having the asthma attack and stuff.
Yeah.
But in this one, I think because everything is so stressful,
yeah,
he kind of is like, get better.
And because
Start
like
healing.
everyone is going to him.
Yeah,
he's freaking out a bit. Yeah, the only other note I have, I'm gonna fix this in quote marks and then a sad face.
Oh,
Jack.
Oh, Boone. I know. Just breathe, okay? So after the title sequence, we get our little scene with Sawyer, Michael, Claire, and Jin. Jin's working on the raft. He's not taking a break.
Yeah.
Which...
Much like someone else I know, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So similar. I don't think that's the parallel that's supposed to be going for, but you know what? It's in there.
Mm-hmm. And the way that Sawyer was laying down, I don't know.
That scene is so funny to me because I didn't know Michael was there for ages.
What do you mean?
Well, like, Sawyer's all reclined and it's just shots of Claire and Sawyer, and then it's not till Michael speaks that I was like, okay, there's three of them.
I didn't notice that. But the way that he's lying down really reminds me of, you know, that one shot of Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park? Where he looks ridiculous.
You're testing my memory of Jurassic Park.
He's in that exact position. He's got the leather jacket on. And I don't know if it's supposed to be like a sexy shot or something, but I just found it funny. I found it super ridiculous. I was like, why is he lying like that? Why is it so zoomed? They do like an extreme zoom. Weird.
Yeah,
and
no, it's weird.
Whenever anyone lies down like that, I always just start laughing because I think about that. And also, I don't think it's a obviously it wasn't supposed to be sexy in this situation, but often it is that kind of position. I don't think it is full stop.
I don't think it is really.
Let alone with the Jeff Goldblum association.
No, I don't. That, like, you've described it to me and I can sort of vaguely picture what that looks like, but I don't remember it being in Jurassic Park, really.
This is a personal thing. I just think about that.
But yeah, the main thing I noticed about that scene is that Sawyer has the same shirt on as last episode, because I remember thinking I quite liked it.
Ah, there you go.
It's like quite a fun pattern, and I was like, oh, that's quite a fun shirt for him. And yeah, he's still got it on.
Well, I guess, is it the same day?
Yes, yeah.
He has the whole glasses thing. Yeah, because Jack and Kate are talking about the glasses thing when Boone comes in to the caves.
Yeah.
And we've established that all happens in the same day, so same day. Oh my god.
What a fucking day for Jack.
What a day for Jack.
Medical procedures off the charts. But yeah, that's a very interesting conversation. So the raft is going to be ready in about a week, they said. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because that's like, it might be getting away.
Yeah, in a week. And I don't know, I reckon that Claire is asking about the raft because she's thinking about her and her baby.
Yeah, I think she was kind of hoping they would get rescued before she gave birth.
She doesn't want to give birth on the island. Who would?
Yeah, who would?
So I think
she would be insane, I think, if she wasn't hoping to get off the island before she went into labour.
Yeah. She's either hoping that she'll be taken on the raft and taken to safety so that she can give birth, or she's hoping that they will
rescue.
Hopefully before the birth happens, they finish building the raft, they sail off in the raft, they find rescue comes back to the island, they get on a plane, and she gets to a hospital.
Yeah.
She's like, this is the time frame that we need to be working on, people.
But this is the thing, isn't it? She knows it's not going to happen. She knows it's a long shot, but she just doesn't want to accept it.
Yeah.
I do think it was kind of funny when she's like, Kate's like, you have to start pushing, and she's like, She's like, come on, Claire. Don't be stupid.
Her breath. Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, so that, then I guess she wanders off into the woods and immediately starts having contractions. I mean, it's a classic case of like TV birth happening at a ridiculously different timeline to real life birth.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Like, my mum was in labour for 2 days before I was actually born.
So,
you know,
not quite.
But so Sawyer actually offers to help.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? I thought that was quite surprising.
It's another moment of, I think, the kind of crisis mode engaging. Yeah. Do you need me to help?
Yeah.
I can come with you.
I think, obviously, Sawyer has been on a bit of a journey since episode 16. That was his last flashback episode, right? Yeah.
Outlaws, yeah, it was 16.
That was 16. He's been on a bit of a personal journey, and he's like unpacked his kind of trauma a little bit. And we saw, like, in the last episode, he's kind of goofing around. They're mostly taking the piss out of him.
But it's a bit more casual.
It's a bit more casual. He was in the comedic plotline at the very least, and he is, you know, he resisted going to speak to Jack, but then he ended up doing so, and like he's integrating himself a bit more with the group. Then Kate comes in, she's clearly panicking, clearly something really dramatic has happened. Instead of cracking a joke or going, what are you going to give me for the alcohol? He just goes, here, and he gives it all to her, and he goes, is there anything else I can do? Can I help? And I think that is very interesting.
No, absolutely. I think it's that thing of like, it's all just a front.
Yeah.
Like, it's all just that he doesn't want to connect with people, and so he's having his hoard, and he's doing all that, but it's like, as soon as it's important, of course he's given up the stash, you know? Mm-hmm. As soon as it's actually something bad has happened, he wants to help. And it's that, like, dropping all of that and just going, yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of leads us to believe that Sawyer is actually, deep down, a nice person. Guy. Yeah.
And once again, if we're talking putting aside differences and, you know, dropping your sort of the bad guy thing, Jin has a lot of very fun moments this episode.
My goodness me.
So I actually remembered all that wrong.
Yeah.
I thought it was Charlie who found Claire and then went to the caves, and then that Jack said to Kate, go with Jin, you're going to have to deliver the baby. And she was like, no, I can't do it. And he was like, no, you're going to have to do it. So I was really confused for a lot of this. Because I was like, no, because I heard Claire in the woods when Kate was running, and I was like, no, but it's Charlie. But I guess I'm confusing it with when Charlie finds her and raised by another.
Yes, I guess you are, yeah. No, because that... Oh, Kate and Claire in this episode. Oh my gosh, it's the best.
They're so in love, it's stupid.
So fucking cute. I know we both wrote this down because as soon as she said it, we both started frantically scribbling.
Yep.
But when Claire is like, don't leave me, and Kate goes, oh no, honey, I'm not going to.
Yeah. How literally Kate called her honey.
Oh no, honey, I won't.
Cute.
Screaming!
They're literally so cute.
Yes. Oh my god.
And like all their conversations this episode, I mean, we'll get to them, but like they're all so good.
Yeah.
The whole conversation of this baby is like all of ours and we're all gonna look after him, and like, do you want him now? And she says yes, and he's like, well then he knows that too. And I'm like
sobbing, literally sobbing. I'm literally on the floor, on my knees, I'm banging on the floor like John is banging on that hatch, and I am sobbing.
So
oh my gosh. Okay, fuck it, let's abandon chronology and let's just talk about the Claire plotline.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this after we watched this episode today, because I was like, why do they have Claire giving birth in the same episode as Boone's big accident and his death? And I was like, is it I think when I first kind of watched it, I was just like, oh, the writers have just gone, what would happen if we pulled all the triggers at once?
Yeah.
You know,
crisis, the big crises.
Let's just shove it all in and let's make it super tense. Because when you're watching it, you're like, oh my god,
of course she's in
labour
now.
And now Claire's having a baby, oh my god. And then when Jin is the one that hears Kate's cries, you're like, oh my god, it's the one person who can't speak English.
That bit is so perfect though, because that, like, when Jin's the one who hears it and he comes running and Kate's like, Jesus Christ, okay, and like,
yeah,
like, it's like Doctor, and she's like, Jack Doctor, go.
Possible. But the thing is, they all pull together. That's the brilliant thing about this episode. It's the worst. It's like the most inconvenient set of events happen in the most inconvenient order, and yet they all come together.
And it's like one of the most perfect moments, I think, of the whole episode is when Jin comes in and he's like monologuing, and obviously what he's saying is like Claire's in labour, whatever, and Sun's translating, and then she asks him the question. It was like, how far about the correction thing? And there's a moment where you can see it on his face where he just is like, I don't want to talk to you, and then he's just like, just answers the question.
Yes.
And it's like, he just goes, I just have to do it, I just have to answer it because Claire's in labour and there's big important things are happening.
I'm actually obsessed with that scene. I love that scene. That scene is so fucking good, and I've remembered it. I mean, would I say it's the scenes that are so important to me? Yes, I'm putting it in there because I remembered it, first of all. Like, it's stuck in my memory from our previous watch-throughs. And it's just so... Jack is fucking there with the tube just pouring blood out of his arm. He's, like, looking all fucking drained like a ghost. Jin shows up, and the subtle acting between Daniel Day Kim and Yoonjin Kim is, like, so...
It's
cool.
Perfect.
It's great.
Amazing.
And I got too excited. You're absolutely right. You see it on his face where he goes,
he like freezes just for a second.
I don't want to speak to you. I'm still really upset with you, like blah, 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 but I have to because of the crisis. And it's just, the subtle second is fantastic. And Sun, obviously she's completely locked in nurse mode at this point. And so she's like translating everything back to Jack, translating everything back to Jin. Oh my God, it's incredible. And then the way that Charlie's like, Claire, what's happening to her, blah, 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 what are we going to do? And Jack's like, listen to me, Charlie. Kate's gonna have to deliver the baby.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I love that as well. Even though Jack is giving the instructions to Charlie, Sun is also giving the instructions to Jin. So it's like, because Jin obviously has to take Charlie back, but it's like, so they both know
what's happening,
what has to happen.
Yes.
So like, even if Charlie forgets everything and Jin can't speak English, at least he knows what to do.
Yes, absolutely. And like, you know, I guess to try and, because Charlie wants Jack to deliver the baby, right?
Yeah.
Because he wants the baby to be in the best hands possible. So I think Jin is partially there to give Charlie some sort of consternation, some kind of faith. I don't know, I can't think what the word is right now, but basically to kind of back him up and go, Kate can do this. We're gonna all be all right together.
And also for Jack to like send Charlie with Jin, I do think it's quite nice because it is like, Charlie obviously not feeling particularly useful right now. He's freaking out. He's obviously freaking out about Claire. And for it to then be like, he's not going to go, no, we'll send someone who can do it. He's saying, Charlie, you go.
Absolutely,
and you be with Claire.
Absolutely. And I think partially it's the convenience thing. As we were saying, everyone has to pull together. And it's kind of just everyone who's around when things are happening. Like, that's kind of how Sun becomes his nurse, right? But also, it's really nice that Jack doesn't go, "You're too close to this, Charlie.
Yeah.
You can't help Claire, you're gonna get in the way," or whatever. Because in a previous episode, I feel like he might have done that.
Yeah.
But at this point,
He might have said someone
it's
else
go,
needs
go,
to go. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really fantastic as well that Jack says Kate has to deliver the baby. He doesn't say to Charlie,
doesn't say
"You're going to have to deliver it," or to
say
Jean.
one of you has to do it. He says Kate's going to do it.
Kate's going to do it.
I think it's a very much, I read something once that said, like, the main thing to remember in a crisis is to give people the most specific instructions possible. And I think that's very much like, he's like, this is what's going to happen. Kate is going to do it, and you have to help her. And it's like spelling it out exactly so they don't freak out and they know what to do.
Absolutely. And
also, I do think he trusts that
Kate is
capable.
Because in the pilot, part 1, episode 1 of this goddamn show, it all comes back around, she stitched him up.
Yeah.
After the crash. So he knows that she knows how to be calm in a crisis, and she has some sort of basic medical skill.
Yeah.
And so he trusts her to deliver
and like
the baby.
obviously because they've like been together.
Yes.
Like, she's been around for a lot of the things Jack has done medically, and so I think he's like, she can do it, and also obviously she is close with Claire, and so he's like, she's got to do it. She can do it.
And it's also a great moment for Jack as well. He's as you say, he's in crisis mode. He's seeing the clarity. He's not going, "I'm going to try and do it as well."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like...
Because, honestly, if he wasn't physically tethered to Boone at this point, I feel like he would be...
running in between.
He'd be like, "You stay here for the next 5 minutes while I run."
Yeah, absolutely. But he's sensible in that respect. He's not sensible in that he is so desperately trying to save Boone's life when it's obvious that he is going to die.
Mm-hmm. However... Am I going to do this now? I'm going to do this now. So, here's the thing.
Oh, God.
Is... I had to hold back a bit last week on the John thing, because I didn't want to spoil for you guys that Boone dies. But... John lied to Jack and to everyone. He said they fell from a cliff. And... I know Boone was very badly injured, and I know that he was in really bad shape, but it's like, the leg was the problem, right? It was that his leg got crushed, and so the blood was all, like, there, whatever. If John had told the truth, they could have amputated the leg immediately, and he might have been okay.
Possibly. Kind of just to play devil's advocate a little bit, but also, you know, like, look at what they went through with Boone. Do you know what I mean? Do you think that they would have amputated it immediately? Do you think Jack would have instantly gone, "That leg needs to go"?
Well, maybe, because he obviously knows when he figures out it's been crushed. Like, if John had told him it's been crushed, it might have been, okay, well, if we leave it there like that, it's just going to get worse.
Possibly.
So let's get rid of it now.
But it's the internal bleeding, isn't it? It's the internal bleeding that kills him at the end.
Well, yeah, but also it's the fact that, like, the blood transfusion doesn't take.
Yes.
Because of the leg.
At the very least, they wouldn't have had to do all of the transfusions, so they could have, you know, done the leg quicker, or...
And also if his body...
Jack would have been a bit less delirious.
Yeah, and if Boone's body wasn't in so much pain because of the leg, then it might have been able to, you know...
Put everything...
Breathe a bit better, you know.
Back. Rearrange the guts. Put them all back into place.
No, but that is a thing.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because if I was to cut your arm and your leg right now, they would both heal very slowly, wouldn't they? But if I was to just cut your arm, it would heal faster than both.
Look, don't try and make medical analogies, okay? Neither of us know.
No, I'm not saying he would have survived. I'm just saying he would have had a much better chance if John had told the truth. Because also they would have known they would have known the severity of the injuries, and they would have understood better, and then that could have shaped their treatment differently.
Absolutely. I do agree.
Or they could have immediately gone, okay, well, in that case, if the accident was that bad, there's no saving him, let's just find Shannon, you know? and then they can say their goodbyes or whatever.
Don't talk to me about Shannon in this goddamn episode.
I know, but like, you know, like they could have then had a proper thing, and then, you know, like it would have gone differently if John had just told the truth.
Yeah, and I guess when they realise that the Marshal is dying in a very painful way, they sort of put him out of his misery, don't they?
Yeah, and they could have done that.
So they could have done that for Boone. That is a very good point. And I'm not arguing with you in that John is responsible for Boone's death 100%.
Yeah, he is.
It's John's fault. I agree with Jack. And he eats at the end as well.
That's
when
so
he's
funny.
like, he didn't die. He was murdered.
It's the way it's like a very slow, sad, hot, like ending, like bittersweet ending with the baby and the music, and then it's like, John murdered Boone.
Yep.
I'm gonna go kill him. And it's like, okay.
It's like the /serious version of, I'm gonna kill him. That won't help. No, but it'll feel good.
Genuinely. It's like the return of, I don't know, but it'll feel good.
Yeah. He's great when he storms off into the jungle to find John Locke. Brilliant. And it's kind of amazing as well, because with an episode that's this tense, you don't expect to have a dramatic kind of cliffhangery ending.
Yeah.
But they bring it back.
Like a gentle ending.
Yeah. They bring it back, and I'm like, yeah, go for it. Honestly. So yes, we've not talked enough about Claire, I don't think.
Go back to Claire, right?
Yes. I never even made my point.
Oh yes, sorry, I interrupted you.
20 minutes ago. I think the reason that they have the birth and Boone's death in the same episode.
Oh, wow,
Sorry, that was so long ago. We both got very distracted.
Do tell.
Is not just what happens if we pull all the triggers at once. Obviously, that's very, like, you know, dramatic. But I was kind of just a bit like, oh, why did they do this at the writers when I first watched it? But on this time, I was reflecting on it a little bit, and I was like, I think it makes sense, because I think the writers sort of, they sit to themselves and they go, we've built up Claire's pregnancy from the start of the show. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the crash, we see her, she's nearly 8 months pregnant, or she is 8 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh my God, there's a pregnant woman in the plane crash. She might have a baby right now because of all the stress. She doesn't, and then it's like, she's a ticking time bomb, essentially. And they keep hinting at it. She's going to have her baby on the other. So they build it up a lot. I think they then go, if we just have a whole episode that's centered around Claire giving birth, it's going to be underwhelming.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I think if she'd gone into labour and then Jack had delivered it and it would have all kind of gone fine, it would have been like, well, baby would have had to be born with teeth or something. Born with horns.
The baby's born with the numbers tattooed on it.
The baby looks like Ethan.
The baby is Christian Shephard.
Don't even.
Christian finds a way to get on the island again.
But I mean, also, you know, it's the circle of life.
Mm-hmm.
Baby is Boone.
We were talking about this, weren't we, off air?
There is not enough Claire's baby is Boone reincarnated theories out there. Because that was when my brain immediately went. I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Where's our Boone reincarnation posting?
Like, that, but like, baby was born within the same, like, 10 minutes as Boone dying.
Yeah.
That baby is Boone.
Yeah.
Big blue eyes.
Big
blue. That's Boone. That's Boone in there.
I remember you saying to me literally the other day, because we were obviously talking about this, because we were kind of leading up, we were like, we're going to have to talk about Boone's death very soon, and Velvet was getting emotional, of course. So we were talking about this before we recorded a few days ago, and you said Boone being reincarnated in the baby would have been my number one theory if I was watching it at the time.
If I'd been watching Lost as it was coming out instead of doing stupid things like being a baby, I would have been like, the baby is Boone.
Yeah.
And I would have gotten to like season 6 and I would have been like, guys, have we forgotten about the fact that the baby is Boone?
The baby is Boone, people! Wake up, sheeple! The baby is Boone!
I would have been saying, I would have been on all the forums.
Yeah, MySpace.
My username would have been like Boone Baby or something.
Boone Baby 42.
Boone Baby 42. Blue-eyed Boone Baby.
That's the name of my new band, actually.
Blue-eyed Boone Baby. That should be my new Tumblr URL.
I mean, I guess that's also part of the reason that they did it in this. They did both of them at the same time.
It's quite poetic, isn't it? Because it's like we have actually the same number of characters.
The same number of characters, the same number of survivors of the crash, you know, in the camp, same number of mouths to feed.
Because it's like technically, I guess, but he's all good. He's all right.
Oh.
He's all clean
He's
as well.
lovely.
I wrote that down. I was like, baby's so clean.
Baby's so clean.
He's not all goopy.
And yes, obviously because it's TV. But, I have many questions. How is the baby that clean? How did they cut the umbilical cord? You know, how was there not, like, you know, afterbirth and everything everywhere in that jungle? How did she not get infected? You know?
Well, we don't know if she is infected.
She could be, to be fair.
She didn't give birth like 10 minutes ago.
They afford some certain liberties, but I'll allow it.
But the thing is, every childbirth on TV is like that.
Every childbirth on TV is like that.
They all happen way faster than they really happen, you know.
And I think this Lost doesn't actually shy away from depicting the kind of grossness / agonies of childbirth as much as other shows do.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it is quite an intense
I mean,
scene.
he was still quite goopy when he was born.
He was still quite goopy.
And they were all sweaty and gross and like...
And it's tense, it's very tense.
And like, as birth scenes on TV go.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Because as well, you're so tense about everything that's happening with Boone. Yeah. So it's done in a very clever way.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
But yeah, I think, oh my gosh, Claire in this episode... she's brilliant, isn't she?
It's the way it's all built up.
Also, Claire's
just like,
Emily de Raven, incredible acting performance in this episode. Like, the way that she, oh my god, you know, she's like, you can hear her kind of grunting in the jungle, and even before, like, you know, Kate's there and she's obviously thinking, could this be like the whispers or whatever? I don't think I was thinking that. I think I could tell that it was her. You know, the noises.
I was thinking like it's the others. It's someone.
The noises are just so like good. I guess they're subtle enough that it could be either, but I think they are really like they're done really well. And then you know when she's like, "I'm not having contractions," I wrote down, "No, I'm bloody not.
I'm bloody not. Can
no.
you leave me alone?"
Queen.
It's just gas pains. No, it's not. But what I really love as well is that it comes across very much like, oh, she doesn't want to give birth. She doesn't want to be except she's in labour because she doesn't want to give birth in a jungle, naturally. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's not even that. It's because she thinks her baby's not going to want her. The
scene with her and Jin, I'm sobbing. Oh my god. First of all, two of my favourite characters barely have ever interacted before, apart from that incredible scene on the beach, which I also love, where he gives her the sea urchin right early on.
He's felt the baby kicking.
Yes, he's felt the baby kicking and he's there for the birth. Perfect!
Like, how cute is that? And the way he's just sat with her and he's just like, no, he could be saying anything.
Like, yeah, so Charlie's talking to Kate like, you have to deliver the baby. Jin goes over to Claire and he speaks to her in Korean, right? But I think it's really nice because you can tell from like his tone of voice and his facial expression that he's soothing. I felt comforted just watching it.
Like, you know, he's saying like it's going to be all right.
Yeah, but he's a really comforting presence, which is really interesting given the Jin that all of the survivors have gotten to know. He's really aggressive and territorial, controlling. No, he doesn't just attacks people out of nowhere. You know, he doesn't talk to anybody. He's solitary.
Suddenly this is just such a different side. This is like the side of him that's like giving Sam the flowers.
Yes,
and stuff.
This is the side that we have seen in the flashbacks. But now he's coming out on the island in crisis mode. In crisis mode, everyone becomes nice. This is what we've learned.
Everyone becomes friends.
And he goes over and he's so comforting and it's wonderful. And I think the fact that there is the language barrier, it's kind of a little bit like when Sun says, I was going to leave you, but says it in English. It gives Claire the opportunity to be open. To admit, and she just goes, I'm scared. And I was like, It really hit me. Oh my God. It really hit me in the feelings today.
No, absolutely. It's just so sweet. And just like, I think like the fact that like she manages to say that to him and then it kind of comes out so much later with Kate. Yeah. And like the way that Kate kind of handles that, I just think is so perfect.
Absolutely, because she doesn't go like,
don't be silly.
Yeah, don't be silly. She doesn't, she acknowledges the way that Claire is feeling and then instead goes, do you want the baby now? The baby can tell that
Then
too.
he knows that too. And the like,
Sorry.
I did write down group polycule baby.
Yes, the polycule baby!
Because I was like, the way she's just like, this baby belongs to all of us. We're all going to look after. And I think it's such a lovely thing as well, because obviously it's so scary. And like Claire's pregnancy but also like her memory problems and stuff have been like, this experience of being on the island has been so isolating for her, because it's like she can't really be involved in any of the action because everyone just tells her to go sit down, and then she was missing for a week and now she can't remember and she doesn't know anyone, and so it's like she has been obviously feels very alone, and now it's like, no, you're not going to be by yourself, we're all going to look after this baby.
Absolutely. And even think about Claire pre-crash, right? She's so like young and she doesn't have much money, and she's single and she's scared about raising this baby by herself, and now she has a whole island full of people to help her, you know?
Yeah,
it
so
takes
sweet.
a village.
It really is, it takes a village, but it's like, it's polycule baby.
The polycule baby, yes.
And those scenes are so sweet, but also they are hilarious because of Charlie and Jin just hovering in the background. I'm like, you guys can be helping.
But they also can't, right? You know, Charlie goes over to help and Jin puts his hand on his shoulder and is just like,
just so funny. I'm like, you could be
funny.
like, I don't know, holding towels or something.
Yeah.
It's the way they just kind of sat there like, so we're hanging out, we're here.
yeah. Oh, and that bit at the end is great as well, after the baby's born and Jin goes for the handshake.
Charlie hugs him.
So funny.
And that must be so lovely for Jin as well, because it's like everyone hates him.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
No, they've
He's part of
just
something
been
really
part
special.
of something, really beautiful. And oh my god, men and their handshakes really do make me giggle.
don't piss me off. Like, it's a hug moment.
It's a hug moment. This is obviously a hug moment, but also I think it's only ever men who go in for a handshake. Yeah,
it's
in my experience.
It's never once crossed my mind to try and shake. So I've like gone in for a handshake. I don't think ever. There's one time I can think off the top of my head where I shook hands with someone I just met, and the reason for that is because I met her, and then I was like, it was like a friend of a friend who I'd heard loads of stories about, and I was like, oh my god, it's you, and I kind of gestured towards her with my hand, and then she went, what, you trying to shake my hand? Come on, like, give me a hug. And I was like, so it was like that.
There you go. Perfect. That is a case in point. And obviously I have, shook hands with people
I've
and with
hands in like formal settings.
Yeah, women or non-binary people or whatever. But I do think it's mostly men, and especially I went to the University of Cambridge. I don't know if I've mentioned that on the podcast before. But everyone there is quite posh and formal. And so there was a lot of, I remember this one time. This is what I always think about whenever I think about men going in for their handshakes. I was in second year and I'd moved in a couple days ago to my new room in our little house that was on campus. I had accommodation on campus for all 3 years. This is one of the benefits of being a very rich university. And there were freshers who were moving into the rooms below me. And I remember I was going to the toilet, so I literally had a toilet roll in my hand. I was walking to the toilet and I happened to walk past a room which had its door propped open and it had this man moving in. And I sort of poked my head around the door and I was like, oh, I'll be friendly to my new neighbours. I was like, oh, are you just moving in? Even though I was headed to the toilet, I was a bit like, but I was like, I'll say hi. And this man was very clearly slightly posh. And I was like, oh, lovely to meet you, I'm Ariel, blah, blah, blah. And as he's doing this, he is pushing his now empty suitcase onto the top of his wardrobe, to kind of get it out of the way. But he stops halfway through. He keeps his left hand on the suitcase as it's sort of balancing on top of the wardrobe, and brings his right hand across to go and shake hands with me at the door. And I'm like,
ridiculous. I think you did tell me the story when it happened, actually. That sounds really familiar.
It was baffling as an interaction, and I literally had a toilet roll in my left hand, and it was like something out of a farce. I was like, what's happening? Why would you go in for a handshake in that situation?
Yeah.
Or at the very least, just continue
just finish
pushing
the suitcase and then shake your hand, surely.
Like, there was no need. There was no need for the handshake.
I just remembered, actually, the only other time I can think of where I've shaken a hand was when I was, like, 7 years old. They did... Do you remember The Boy Who Fell Into a Book?
That's what I thought you were going to talk about earlier, actually.
This was a play that was done at the theatre where our parents worked when we were kids. And we were at the, like, post-opening night, like, dinner thing. And I was about 7 or 8 at the time. And I said to Dad, I was like, I want to meet the actors. I was like, do I get to meet the actors? And he was like, yeah, okay, I'll take you over to, like, introduce you to the actors. And there was this American man who was, to my memory, about 9 feet tall.
He was genuinely massive. Like,
huge.
He was super tall.
Like, I was probably 3 feet tall at this point. I was so small. And I went and met him, and I remember I was stood, and he stayed sat down, but he was still like, whoa, towering above me. And he was like, oh, hello. And I was like, hi. And he shook my hand. And I remember shaking his hand, and I was really into Harry Potter at the time. And I kept thinking about how Hagrid's hands are always described as being the size of bin lids. And I always found that a really weird comparison, because I was like, I can't really visualise that. And then I shook this man's hand, and I was like, oh my god, he's Hagrid-sized.
Yeah. Like a kind of oven mitt coming in.
Yeah, and it was just such a funny thing, because obviously he must have come out of that interaction going, why did I shake hands with a 7-year-old? Like, he must have also been like, that was weird.
Yeah. But this is what I mean, it's their go-to.
It never crosses my mind to try and shake hands with people. And it's like, it always happens as well. It's like, intense emotional moment, finished, handshake. Like in this show, it happens a few times, and I'm always like...
Does it?
Yeah.
I can't think of an example.
There's another time, a very significant moment it happens, but it's not till series 4, so we can't say.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, it's like, I like that Charlie is the one, because Charlie seems very much like, he's not going in for all that. You know, he's not trying to shake hands with people.
Yeah.
He's like, no, this is a hug moment.
This is a hug moment.
He gets it. Plotline is just like, it's weirdly sweet for childbirth, you know?
Yes.
But there are some hilarious moments of like, when the like Saeed and Shannon scene, and it's like a sweet moment between them, and then a hard cuts to Claire screaming.
I actually can't deal with the Saeed and Shannon plotline. It's a double hard cut. Did you notice this? It's a double hard cut. Because it hard cuts from that Boone is kind of like Boone's becoming like a bit more lucid.
He's like talking about the hatch.
Yeah, and he's saying, my leg hurts. And I was like, no shit, Boone. And there's kind of this like spooky music coming in. And yeah, he's talking about the hatch. John said not to tell, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and it's all really tense, and he's like, you know, the fucking leg. It's all insane. And then it hard cuts to Shannon and Saeed making out.
And then they have
that whole conversation. And then it hard cuts again to Claire in fucking labour. And I'm just like,
I know.
Read the fucking room. Honestly, I mean, I wrote down like, Claire, this is not the time for when she starts, you know, having contractions. But it's like, the real this is not the time is Saeed and Shannon.
I did also write down, Jack, this is not the time for vows. There's a lot of weird tone shifts in this episode. Oh my god,
that was so odd.
Where it's like, okay, Boone's gonna die, and then it's like,
he's literally holding the thing, about to like pull the guillotine down on Boone's leg, and it for some reason transitions into the flashback of him getting married.
I know, it's like, not the time for vows.
What? I really don't understand that one. I was baffled.
Well, we can get to that. Okay. But yeah, the Saeed Shannon plotline, it's very weird.
Don't piss me off.
The only thing I can think to say about it that's remotely profound is, we talked last episode about how John tells Boone his secret, that he can walk, couldn't walk, and that now, very resolutely, that has been kept secret.
Very conveniently.
Almost by the island. It's been like, no one can know. Mm-hmm. He's dead. But then, similarly, what's happened is, Shannon has finally told someone, Boone is in love with me, we have this weird thing going on, it's gonna be a huge issue. And then it's like, not an issue anymore. So I think that's kind of... Yeah. It is kind of interesting in that sense.
You kind of feel a bit sad for Shannon, don't you? Because you're like, she didn't need to say it.
Anyway, like, Saeed's like, what have I got myself into? I think that moment, is Saeed reassessing that weird conversation he had with Boone.
Absolutely. He's like, everything's falling into place.
Oh, Oh, I see.
Yeah, he must be kind of freaking out.
I mean, I would.
Yeah. Be like, huh?
Kissing your girlfriend. She's like, by the way, my brother's in love with me. And you're just like, okay.
But it makes sense from her perspective why she tells him.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's like she actually does really like him and she wants their relationship to go well. So she's trying to be honest.
For like probably the first time.
Yeah, this is her whole starting a new life thing, isn't it? But yeah, oh my God, it's just like...
really weird.
It's so sad that Shannon isn't there when Boone is dying. Do you know what I mean? And she's just what? She's just fucking
having a date.
off on a date.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And if she just... Like, if they'd just been on the beach, she could have been there.
Yeah.
I do think that scene right at the end, where she's sat with Boone, is, like, so... I was like, oh, damn, Shannon. No.
Yeah, that's also very well acted.
What do you think he wanted to tell her?
Probably just that he loves her.
Probably. I mean, that's the standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boone says a lot of interesting things this episode. I was writing down everything he was saying. Because I was like, I'm interested. Because there's not so much the actual, like, conversations, but a lot of the scenes he's kind of mumbling stuff in the background.
Yeah, let's go through then. So I think the first time we hear him say something, the scene after Sawyer offers to help and Kate is running back through, there's a shot of Jack where there's sweat dripping off his nose, and I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh wow, this is really fun. They've clearly got, like, sprayed him right before they started filming, you know. Yeah. And underscoring that scene, I think you hear Boone whispering, like, sorry.
Yeah, I've written as Boone saying I'm sorry. I think he is saying...
Yeah, which is quite interesting. Who's he apologising to?
I don't know. I mean...
Or is he just sorry about the whole situation?
Sorry, they've lied. That he didn't tell Shannon about the hatch. John convinced him not to, and now he's gotten himself into this situation.
Is he kind of just expressing his regret about everything? Is he saying sorry about, like, you know, putting Jack through all this?
Is he sorry for everything that's going on?
Or is he just sorry for himself, you know, being like, I'm in so much pain, all I can think to say is sorry.
Yeah. Then I have, next thing is when they're doing the veins stuff. I heard him say Shan, and then I heard him say plane.
Yes.
And I was like, that's quite cool. That's when Sun's bringing in the urchin. Which, can we talk about that?
Yes, absolutely.
When she goes,
we
like,
can.
I was getting you this, and Jack just goes...
I love that bit. I wrote down this with, like, a big goofy smile. Because it's like, it's really giving, like, she just picks up this weird thing and sort of shows it with a big
giving,
grin.
like, you know, when you catch a fish on Animal Crossing and it goes like, woohoo!
Yeah. And it's like...
I caught an urchin. It's got a hollow needle.
And her, like, she's got, like, tongs or something, and, like, her hands are all wet. I was like, actually, it is really cool. Because it's like, she's so locked in this episode, and she goes, this is what we need.
It's the way, it's like, obviously what happens is as soon as Jack says the thing about bamboo, she knows. And she's just like, okay, we'll go find blood types. And she clearly just leaves Charlie and is like, go ask them. I know what I've really got to do. And just gets the urchin, like, it's, Yeah, and then Jack's just like, it's perfect. I'm like, you absolute queen! She's great. She's so great. Yeah. And then Boone doesn't speak again until the longer scene. But I thought the first thing he says in that scene is, screwed myself up pretty bad, huh? And I was like, oh.
I know.
He's just like, it's okay. But yeah, he says, like, it fell on me, the plane, because of the hatch. John said not to tell. And I'm like, oh. And that's, like, clearly Jack's just being like, he's not making sense. But also by this point, he's definitely put together that it wasn't a cliff accident. So he's like, John is lying to us. Yes, but I think the power of John said not to tell is, like, John is keeping secrets from the rest of the survivors. Yeah. I don't think anyone else is doing that, apart from Sun not revealing that she spoke English, but that was understandable.
And
that
also
was like
Kate being a criminal. Yeah, but those are both pre-island things. This is something that's happened on the island that they've not gone, hey, this thing happened, what do we do about it? Yeah, no, absolutely. And also John has very much, like, John's big speech is when he goes, like,
we need to talk about the thing that no one's talking about. We're not the only people on the island. And it's like, talking about the things that no one's talking about the island, John?
Hey, bestie.
Why don't we follow our own advice? Like, yeah.
I mean, I guess actually they do keep secrets from the island. Like, they don't tell people about the polar bear, do they?
No.
And they don't tell people about the transmission straight away. But yes, essentially this is a very big one that only John and Boone know about.
Yeah. And that obviously Boone
usually
is
there
like,
are reasons,
I need people to tell people.
Like Saeed goes, hey, we shouldn't tell everyone else about the transmission because they're going to lose hope, you know. The polar bear, not so much. It's just kind of like, what the fuck?
I think the polar bear is more just like, I don't even think it's that they actually keep a secret. I think they just kind of don't bring it up.
Yeah. Because they do tell Michael later on, don't they? Charlie goes, you didn't hear about the polar bear?
Yeah, I think it's kind of just like at that point they don't know each other that well. They're not exactly tramping back and being like, your guys are never going to guess what we found in the woods.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Whereas the Hatch is very much. And they've also been telling everyone that they've been going out to hunt boar for the camp, which they haven't been doing.
And everyone kind of has started to put it together, like the boar that they never come back with, like. Yeah.
Shady shit's going down. And I think it is great that Boone is able to say these things before he dies, you know?
Yeah. Because, like, he confirms it's not just this is suspicious. John could just be like, no, it was a bad accident, and carry on just trying to open the hatch on his own. But, like, now they have actual confirmation Boone has told them. It's like they know something's going on.
And Jack's on the warpath. He's gonna beat those answers out of him.
And then, Boone doesn't speak again until then when he says, like, I know you made a promise. And I think that also, like, I love that scene, but also that is really nice to me because it means Boone was actually quite lucid for a lot of what happened. Because, like, you don't think he's really with it until he starts talking properly. But, like, he could hear them all that time. When Jack says to him, like, I promise I'm gonna, you know, fix this, you're gonna be okay, and is, like, talking to him and saying, like, you're gonna be okay, we've put a thing through your lung, all of that, like, he can hear everything that's going on.
Yeah. So he's much more aware of the situation than you might think, absolutely. And I really liked the kind of callback when he said, you made a promise, I'm letting you off the hook, to Rose.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic because we've not seen Rose in ages.
Oh no, where's she at?
Where is she? Where's my girl? And the Jack, again, it's Jack, isn't it? And he's kind of like, I'll keep you company until your husband gets back. That's what he says, isn't it, on the plane? And then she goes, I'm letting you off the hook, which, beautiful moment, of course. But it's about Jack trying to be so fixing of everything, you know, like, I'll make sure you're okay, I'll fix this, I'll do that, blah blah blah.
Yeah. And that's like, that moment with Rose is a very gentle moment. It's a very nice, like, sweet thing. And then this is a much more intense moment, but it's like it comes back to that like Jack needs permission to not, you know, do it anymore,
fix everyone. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so Jack. I've also, when I think Christian says to him, like, you're not going to let him go.
I know, but he annoys me.
Who did that to him?
Yeah, and whose fault do you think that is, sir? Oh my gosh.
Should we fuck Christian?
Shall we talk a little bit about that flashback scene?
So, first things first, Jack, you are a disaster of a human being. Why don't you not roll your trouser legs up before you put your feet in the pool? Does he have socks on?
Oh god, I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. He doesn't...
That literally made me tense up when you said that.
Like, come on.
No.
Also, the weird, like, when Christian, like, leans onto Jack to take his socks off, that's really weird.
But I found that kind of endearing. That was a bit more of a sort of nice father-son thing.
Yeah.
The rest of it, no. I'm like, first of all, they're drinking, like, straight vodka or something, and I'm just like, you kind of just go, oh, you really hope that Christian hasn't passed his alcoholism on to Jack. Do you know what I mean? But this scene kind of codes it in that way, and it's like, Christian, first of all, Jack doesn't even know if his dad's going to show up to his own wedding.
Which is horrible.
Horrible. And then his dad does show up, and he fucking sits in the pool with him. And I just, you know that meme where it's like, me to my friend handling it badly, I'm also handling it badly. I think you're handling it perfectly.
Yeah.
That's this scene to me.
Yeah.
I was like, they are the worsties. They're just going, he's like, I don't know how to write my vows. And he's like, well, you're a doctor. You're not supposed. He's like, I know, right? No!
Women be crazy. No, Christian.
That's not the lesson here. Oh, Christian. And he gives such bullshit advice. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you playing mind games with your son the day before he's about to get married?
I know. It's so fucked up.
And also, why is Jack's mum not there? Do you want to address that? I mean, she might be there, but we don't see her.
I assume she's there.
Why don't we see it? They could have just brought her back in.
I mean, I'll be real with you, I don't remember what she looks like.
Me neither, but they could have brought her in.
I thought initially that was her getting out the taxi.
No, it's clearly.
But then when Sarah says, "Oh, he'll be here," I was like, oh, "Okay, he's not also getting out." Like, I thought that might be them arriving.
Yes. Well, his parents are still together, aren't they?
Yeah.
And this, presumably, since we were talking about, is he still married? We don't know. Happens
This
a
clearly
lot
happened
before.
a while ago, yeah.
A good few years before, I would say, Christian dies.
Yeah, and it must be before Jack got Christian fired as well, because they don't talk after that.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah. So this is one of his earlier flashbacks that we've gotten then.
I was going to say earliest, and I remember there's childhood ones.
There's a childhood one. But other than the childhood one, yeah, probably the earliest in Jack's timeline. So I'd say even if his parents end up not together, they're definitely together at this point.
Yeah.
Surely. So why isn't his mum there?
His mum must have been there.
But just do like when they do that close up of Christian, just make it a slightly wider shot with a brunette woman. It's all good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it is a bit weird. I guess it's just because Jack's relationship with his dad is so important to his psyche. But Jack's mum is like so irrelevant, and it like does piss me off a bit.
She could be relevant,
Genuinely, I think like the only thing I like about any of the flashbacks in this episode is just that like Jack plays piano.
Yeah, we get the Jack can play the piano reveal.
Where'd that come from? Because I forgot about this.
Skill drop.
Because I remember there's a moment in like, oh God, I want to say 3, where Jack's playing the piano.
Yes, there is. Oh my God, I completely didn't even...
And I remember
going, what the fuck, Jack can play the piano?
In like a different like Jack
Since
episode,
when?
like a different Jack flashback, and I was like, what are you talking about? You can play the piano.
But we get it revealed here.
And I was like, oh, we knew that.
Oh, I'd also completely forgotten. Oh my gosh, yes. I remember being so weirded out by that, and then it just comes
how has that not
here.
been relevant before? But it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, the flashbacks, I don't rate them. I mean... Claire Dunphy, lovely to see you, but
good to see a little Modern Family cameo, but also like,
she's not really got much of a personality, has she? It's kind of like
when she's very nice, but it's like
when she's giving her speech at the kind of dinner, I guess, and she's explaining her whole accident and everything that happened to her. It's a long shot of just Jack's reaction. We don't even see her, basically. Well, then it cuts back to her when she's doing the bit more emotional bit. But I'm just like, why wouldn't we be seeing her? Come on, this is her life. But no, we only care about Jack.
I guess it's just one of those things of, like, the relationship's significance is the fact that Jack is doing it because he feels obligated. And so actually, maybe it's that we don't get to know her very well because he didn't really know her.
Ooh, okay, you've brought me back around a little bit. I was going to just chalk this one up to misogyny.
I mean, it probably is, but if we're talking symbolism...
Yeah, that's kind of
Jack
nice.
doesn't really know her all that well.
So we don't, as a viewer, yeah.
Because everything we see in the flashbacks is through the lens of the character, isn't it?
Yes.
As we know, like, from the Sun episode, we got a very different perspective of Jin as from the Jin episode. Everything is through their lens, so maybe it's just that we don't see much of Sarah because, Jack didn't really know all that much about her.
I like that. It doesn't change the fact that the flashbacks are a bit shit in this episode.
It doesn't change the fact that flashbacks kind of suck.
And can we talk about the worst transition into a flashback ever? Of they're talking about Sun saying to Jack, you need to get some air and stuff when he's like operating on Boone, and or something, and then like Charlie's there. Yeah, Charlie's there going.
He's like washing his hands in the waterfall, and Charlie's like, is he
go
okay?
and get Shannon. We need to find Shannon. And Jack goes like, I don't know where she is. And then it cuts to the best man going, and here she is, the bride-to-be, the future Mrs. Jack Shephard.
I didn't even clock that.
I was like, are you actually kidding me?
That's hilarious.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's so fucking awful. What are you doing?
No, that's bad.
That's really bad. That's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing, because also, who's that guy?
Yeah. Irrelevant.
Jack has a friend?
He doesn't even have
Unlikely.
a name. The most unbelievable thing about this show.
Jack doesn't have friends. Jack's also wearing the most hideous suit.
Oh my god, it's bad.
Awful colours.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have one more thing to say about this episode. I'm going to say with confidence.
Okay.
And that is, we compare John and Jack a lot in this show, in this podcast, but also in the show.
Yeah.
They're very directly parallel frequently. And obviously, we have a moment in this episode where Jack steals John's catchphrase.
Yes!
Don't tell me what I can't do. And it got me thinking about that, because I see that clip a lot, the first one with John in the walkabout.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that a lot in like edits and on like online, and people saying that as like a big like iconic quotes from Lost.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't live together, we're gonna die alone. If don't tell me what I can't do.
Yes.
Like that's one of the iconic quotes.
Absolutely it is, yeah.
And I was always like, I just don't really get it, because like it seems like something he says because he's pissed off, you know? Like I never really got the kind of meaning of it.
Well, I mean, it means a lot because of, you know, his disability.
No, like I know it means like that it's like he, you know, doesn't want to be restricted by it.
Yeah.
And all of that. But it got me thinking that I was like, if you look at it then in the context of Jack using it, I think really the moral of that is that like there will always be things you can't do. No matter how hard you try, and that's not a moral failing, and that doesn't make you a bad person. It's just that's part of living, and that's part of being human. Is there's always going to be things you can't do. You're always, you know, John couldn't have done that walkabout because he was in the wheelchair, and like Jack couldn't have saved Boone.
Yeah. Yes, actually. So don't tell me what I can't do is more of a testament to John's stubbornness.
Yeah.
And kind of like his kind of, we saw it in like the previous episode where he like believes so much that the island is, you know, trying to lead him on some kind of path to open the hatch and everything, and it's like he is so committed to this that he kind of becomes blindsided by everything else. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what Don't Tell Me What I Can't Do means. It's his anger and his like zombie lady's she's fallen and I'm wearing ridiculous gloves and I can't stand her back up again. She's out of commission for the rest of the episode. She can rest on the mic there. Yeah, I mean, also, I think it's just a fun phrase that they can keep bringing back, isn't it? Because a lot of the time,
it is just a motif, isn't it?
Yeah, people go, you can't do that. You know, that's just a phrase that people say. So it's really easy to bring in Don't Tell Me What I Can't Do. Yeah, I think that whole ending, yeah, man, with Sun being like, when Boone like coughs up the blood, and she's like, he's bleeding on the inside, and he's like, I'm all messed up inside. I just love those kind of like phrasings of it, you know?
Yeah.
I think
it's
really
there's
fun.
A couple of moments as well with bleeding on the inside. There's a couple more of like, Sun doesn't quite use the right terminology for like, there's a bit where she's like, oh, the wound in his chest, like, can you, and she kind of gestures and she goes like, sew it. And I'm like, it's not quite what we'd use. And I like that she's not like perfectly fluent.
Yeah. And also she's not a medical professional. It's just her hobby, as we've decided.
Just her interest.
Yeah, but I
Maybe
love...
Sun should have delivered the baby.
She so should have, but honestly, Jack needed her there.
Jack needed her. I think if Kate had been there with Jack, it would have been a very different situation.
Oh my god, can you imagine? They'd be too busy flirting over Boone's dying body.
I mean, I don't think they'd go that far, but it
low-key what Saeed and Shannon are doing, but let's not get into that. I think, yeah, Sun's so fantastic in this episode. I like how she brings, like, the stick for Boone to, like, bite down on. I think that's fantastic. And, like, yeah, her towards the end, she has this great stare down moment with Jack. That whole bit, oh, man. So what is that they decide they're going to use to amputate Boo's leg?
I think it's, like, some kind of, like, compartment or something.
Yeah.
From the plane.
I've never really figured out what it is.
I think it was probably, I don't know what it is, but I think it was something they were using to build the raft, which is why he asked Michael for help.
I see. I wondered why he asked Michael.
Because I think also at that moment when he says to her, like, just get Michael, he's obviously trying to de-escalate things a little bit and not, like, freak everyone out and be like, he's like, get Michael, I'll talk to him about it quietly. I like that Michael's like, can't we just use the axe?
I know. It's super dramatic though, isn't it? Like, imagine you're just like a lowly innocent bystander and then you suddenly hear that they are chopping off Boone's leg. It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean...
It is, and I think that's why Boone protests in the end, because it is so extreme, and it's like, it's not extreme because he is about to die. And, you know, it's like, we'll do anything to save him. That's where Jack is, you know, that's his mentality. But it is super extreme, and the way that it's like, you know, he like touches the edge of the blade and he like slams it down on a stick or whatever. But I'm like, that's not gonna go through his bone, sweetie. Yeah. Like, it doesn't look like it's sharp enough, or he's gonna be able to bring it down with enough force. He doesn't even get Michael to help him. He says, Michael, you don't have to watch this, and sends him away. Yeah. And it's like, what if it doesn't go all the way through? I mean, oh my god.
And also, like, at that point, the shock of that could just kill Boone.
Yeah.
Like, the shock of that impact, he could have just, like, gone into... Like, he's already been in shock. His body's in shock, like, already.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, yeah. That bit. Ask him again. He's in shock. That's why you need to ask him again. Jack, calm down. I know you're stressing out, man, but... And the way he's like, I have bamboo. That's also that scene.
I know, the noodle analogy freaks me out so much. I don't like thinking about the fact that my veins are in my body as it is.
I feel that, actually. Yeah, the noodle analogy is quite freaky. But yeah, he absolutely needs Sun there to keep him grounded, because she, at the end, she's saying, like, she's essentially saying, we can't do the amputation because it's just not going to work. Like, he's gonna die. And they have this great sort of stare down moment after he's dismissed Michael. And I just thought that was fantastic.
No, it is good.
And yeah, it's kind of like, I think she, at that point, thinks that Jack's being irresponsible. And in a way he is, because he's trying to save Boone, of course, but he's also taking his own insecurity, I'm going to tentatively say, and putting it onto Boone.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is more about him and being like, I have to save everybody.
Yeah, his problems with, like his kind of, like, psychological problems and his issues with the way he perceives himself are being projected onto the situation, so he can no longer be rational about it. Yeah.
Which we've seen him do before when Claire goes missing.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it is, you know, he definitely, in the flashbacks, we get this picture of his life that he's quite unable to separate his work and his life. Mm-hmm. You know, everything. Well, obviously, because, you know, his home life is all about being a surgeon as well and being a good person and being, you know, whipped into shape by Christian.
And there's never been any way to escape it, clearly,
no.
Even when he was a child. So, like, it's no wonder it seeped into everything about his life.
Yeah. And of course, you know, being a doctor, a lot of, you know, you have to grapple with a lot of moral dilemmas, and of course those are gonna, you know, bleed into his normal life as well, you know, thinking about, am I a good person if I let this person live, if I let this person die, if I help this person die, if I, you know, is it the right thing to do? Anyway, I think it's fantastic the way that Boone comes back and kind of gives him permission, as you said earlier.
No, I think it's really nice.
And there's a literal crossfade between the baby being brought to Claire's chest and Jack kind of like hugging Boone. And I'm like, reincarnation.
Circle of life.
Come on.
And when Claire brings the baby back to the beach, that's like did you notice how many extras were trying to get their moment in the limelight?
Absolutely.
So many of them are like leaning in.
Oh my gosh.
And like smiling and like leaning in to touch the baby, and I'm like, this is about you.
Screen. Yeah. But what was quite fun is I saw the rash guy. The rash guy was there in that group. And
I think I saw Pointing Lady as well.
I thought I saw her too. Our fave. And I was like, oh, that's really nice that they are using the same extras, you know, and it's like, these are the same
I did
people.
like as well that all the extras were kind of mixed up with the main cast.
Yeah.
Like it was just a whole group of people, and it is just like, we talked about like they're banding together in crisis. This is very much a solidarity moment between all the survivors, because they've all known Claire. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone, not just the main characters.
Absolutely. And I think it needs that, you know, because apart from Locke, of course.
Apart from John, yeah.
Which is pretty, I said at the top, I think it is fantastic that he's not in this episode at all, because he's just completely absent from the chaos that he has kind of caused, you know, and he's kind of just talked about in this very sort of abstract way, and he's not there to give any answers, of course, or anything like that. So yeah, we better hope he's going to give us some answers next week.
Yeah.
Jack's off to find him.
Jack's on a mission.
Mm-hmm. And he's still locked in. Lock.
Crazy.
Well, on that note.
Yeah. We'll find out next week.
We certainly will.
In episode 21, which is...
I want to say it's the greater good, but you might have to Google it.
I actually have no idea why. I know like what happens next immediately, but I kind of don't remember.
Well, this is the thing. We're getting towards the end of the series now, aren't we? And one of the things that Lost does kind of like every time at the end of a series is kind of overarching plot lines. They always do a 2-parter at the very least, sometimes a 3-parter for the finale. And so everything kind of bleeds into one. Like, it's less self-contained. Like, you know, some of the episodes, like Solitary, for example, is super self-contained because you just know, oh, these are the Saeed flashbacks and this is when he finds Rousseau and then he comes back to the camp. Whereas towards the end of the series, everything kind of continues. We've already seen it today, haven't we? With it being literally the same day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's harder for us to figure out what happens.
Yeah, no, it is the greater good, and I just remembered what happens in this episode. It's completely insane. But we'll find out.
Hey, we'll see. I don't really remember, so this is going to be very exciting.
I remember I've read it and I've gone, oh yeah, every time we've rewatched it, I've totally forgotten that this happens. This episode just like gets vanished from my memory. Yeah.
Well, as we've established, after we record every time, it vanishes from my memory. So I can't wait to rediscover it, talk about it to you people, and then forget it to be completely blank from my memory.
Well, thank you very much for listening, everybody.
That'll be super fun next week.
Yeah. Today has been an episode we've recorded.
It certainly has.
I'm not going to say it's been fun, but I'm going to say I've had opinions.
I know you're upset. I know. Boone is gone. And we're all here together to mourn that. But yeah. It is kind of crazy. Guys, Boone's not coming back. He's dead.
What if he did come back? What if he woke up? Magic of the island. If it can make John walk again, maybe.
Yes, oh my gosh, that's what I was going to say. I completely forgot. Yes.
Oh, yeah?
I remembered. So, I think it's really interesting that Boone knows that John was in a wheelchair and is now able to walk on the island. And yet he says when he's like dying and he's like, Jack's about to amputate his leg and he goes, wait, blah, blah, blah. He says, like, I'm not going to get better. Look at where we are.
Oh, yeah.
Now, how fascinating is that? Because from Jack's perspective and from like everybody else's perspective, basically, they go, well, shit, yeah, we're on an island. You know, you could get infected. You could, you know, we don't have the right equipment. Nothing's sterilized. We don't have, you know, he's chopping his leg with some kind of fucking diner cart or whatever it is. And Boone's like, yeah, I'm not going to heal. I'm not going to survive. But he knows that the island has somehow miraculously given John the ability to walk. and given him this crazy dream where he found out something about Boone's past that Boone had never revealed to him and everything. So Boone is kind of a bit... I don't know whether he believes the magic of the island, especially after being in the plane and everything that happened. But he's aware of it.
Yeah.
And yet he believes that he won't be saved.
I guess he thought, like, if the island was gonna save him, it would have. You know? And also because the accident happened on the island. That's like if the island wanted him, if we entertain that it has this sentience and ability to choose, like if it wanted him to be alright, it wouldn't have let the plane fall.
Yeah. So that's another really interesting sort of avenue that one can look at. Did the island sort of kill Boone, or decide that Boone won't heal from his injuries, or whatever? Or is it about the, like, it being within the reasonable, like, the realm of plausibility?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, with the kind of internal bleeding, there's no way that Jack could fix that. Is it about the island kind of making him just injured enough that Jack could fix it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is interesting. It's something to keep in mind, I think, when we discuss the power of the island and how much of it is real and how much of it is John's belief.
Mm-hmm. And our belief as viewers.
And our belief, yeah, as viewers, and the skepticism of certain other characters as well.
All right, sorry, I'm really glad I remembered that, because that would have pissed me off.
That was very interesting.
Suddenly we'd switched the mics off and then I went, oh, that was the thing. So I'm glad I remembered that. Thank you all for letting me shove that little nugget in at the end. Please give us a follow on Spotify, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Tumblr, and on Facebook. We're the Lost All Caps podcast. We're the Lost All Caps podcast. You've been fantastic. Thank you and good night. Yeah. Please give us a 5-star review. Sorry, I just saw that all spike on the computer. Yeah. I apologise profoundly to Elle and Jack for having to edit that horrible audio noise. Please give us a 5-star review. Please, like our videos, drop in the comments how you're feeling, how you're coping with Boone's death. We're all here for each other. We're looking out for you. Let us know if we can help. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Ariel Hebditch. When this is being released, I believe it's going to be next weekend when I am doing my show at the Brighton Fringe.
Amazing.
So very exciting. I'm sure that there will still be tickets available if you want to go onto the Brighton Fringe website, or just come along. I'm pretty sure we're going to be selling them on the door. Don't quote me on that. Maybe look on the website first. But yes, it's going to be at Presuming Ed's in Brighton, the 3rd and the 4th of May. Tickets are going to be like a £5. Please come along. It's going to be an hour of me doing stand-up and silly little characters and having a whale of a time. It's Ariel Hebditch, skeleton out of the closet. You can also follow at skeleton.out.of.the.closet on Instagram, where I'm posting a bit more like specific content to the show. But yeah, it's all like linked on my normal Instagram as well. So yeah, you'll find it, I'm sure. Please come along. It's going to be a super fun time, and I'm also going to be announcing more dates as well later to come.
Yes, all very exciting, very crazy stuff. I don't do anything fun like that, but you can follow my drag account if you want, where fun things should be happening.
Hell yeah.
At gar.lick.brad.
And if you've been a fan of these gloves throughout the recording, they feature in the show.
They do feature, they're heavily in the show.
They're heavily in the show. We've lost the ability to form sentences.
It's been a long day.
We've been on an emotional roller coaster today.
Yeah.
We're still recovering from the tension that just watching this episode, man. It really gets your heart going, doesn't it?
It does. Oh my God. It does really get to you, this one.
It's super intense. But yeah, join us next week for the greater good.
which is, I think, a Saeed episode.
Ooh, exciting. We've not had one in ages.
Our second one of those.
Hell yeah. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we will speak to you then.
Oh, it's that one.
I think it's that one.
Oh!
We'll see you then.